Just a couple of things. Obviously, it was a good team win. We did a lot of things well situationally, and thought we played really good team defense. Ran the ball effectively, made enough plays on offense in the kicking game. I thought we did a good job protecting the field position, especially earlier in the game with a little bit of that wind going in the one direction. So, any questions?
Sean, did you know this was going to be kind of one of those games where you guys could preserve points and kind of grind it out, or how you played earlier in the
Well, look, no, I mean, I think you go into the start of this game and you feel like these guys have been scoring. Last week, I think, they put up, I think, in their first half. No, this was a little bit of us feeling offensively like, we're going to have a handful of things that, with Alvin back and Teron back, that was important. So we wanted to have balance, and then watching how the defense was playing, in the red zone particularly, and so it just kind of moved in a direction in the second half. We shot ourselves in the foot a few times. Obviously, the ball slips out of Taysom's hand on the one down, and it really like flipped field position almost. I don't know how many yards we lost on that play, and we got a screen set up where it was the perfect look, but overall it was a good team win.
Was it the plan to have Alvin with 31 touches today?
No, I couldn't say that. But look, that sounds about right. I think it ended up going that direction. Obviously, we had a lot of snaps then, and he gave us some real good juice and energy, and he always does, not just on the field but also on the sideline. And we blocked him, I thought, pretty well up front.
Was it important to you to kind of get back to that complementary football? You guys have been playing really well early in the season.
Yeah, look, and I think it's important for us as a team, and I think it's important for a lot of teams. And so, at the half, our third down numbers weren't great. We didn't have a lot of third downs, but some of them were third and real long. And then I thought we were better in the second half. We had a good mix, though, of run and play action or drop back. So listen, it was a good win and an important win, obviously.
Was that the one with Throckmorton and Alvin kind of?
No, the screen is the one where the ball slips out of his hands and we lose 28 yards. The screen you're talking about was another one. It's like our player running it, our two players blocking it, and there's, so those are some things that happen when, I think Throck is initially going to try to block the corner who's actually going to be covering our ex-receiver, and just a couple little things like that where you just know it's going to be a big play, when you have something that's set up for the right look, and we'll learn from it.
Consistency of the kicking game with the punter and the kicker.
Yeah, that was important. I thought we kicked well, and there was a win. It was going to be a challenging win. Early in the game, relative to direction, you're kind of looking at two things. The sun, if you turn around, is going to be directly in your eyes. That was only for about 8 minutes. Look, they deferred. We took, we deferred. So, but I thought the kicking game was important, and I thought, I thought we did a good job, and then Aesop did a good job first time out. We had a couple players playing for the first time, and that was good.
What did you make of Taysom's second touchdown?
Which one was that?
The long one right before
right at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Like obviously we're sliding, the game's over there. But it was kind of a zero funnel look. We switched Alvin from a king to a queen set, and the safety kind of matched over like we were hopefully anticipating. And then, they're an aggressive defense at that time because they need the ball back. And I haven't seen the tape. It happened to opposite our sideline, but I'm quite sure Juwan probably had a really good block and Teron got out. So it was the right look.
Defensively today, Sean, even the last couple of weeks, it seems like your guys are kind of moving in the right direction there on that side.
Yeah, we're getting some guys back. It was good to have Marcus back. And then, hopefully we can get our COVID crew back soon. And get ready for another important game.
Sean, are there some games where your play sheet is not as extensive? I mean, was this a game where you were going to not go?
That's a good question. I would say the last these guys are different. When you're in like base personnel 21, there's some consistent looks. And so part of the game that you're trying to establish run or pass is out of a base look. And then sometimes it's hard to predict what you're going to get personnel-wise. You don't know if Juwan's always going to be treated as a tight end or a receiver. That happened years ago with us when we had Jimmy. You weren't sure. And so I don't know that the play sheet was – I know the play sheet looks big, but I've said this before. It's partly because I don't see well, read well. And so but there was a section of QB runs. There was a section of some heavy base personnel, and then all the sub stuff that we wanted to do. And fortunately, we got to enough of the right stuff.
Do you believe in that phrase of think of players, not plays? I mean, was that the case today?
We always try to think of our players relative to the design and the matchups. We always, and not just the ball carrier, and it's a great point. But we're also thinking about, hey, is this better suited for the left guard Throck, or is this better suited for Caesar? And had we been on the right hash, that screen had been over to the right side. And so that is the time on task relative to the game planning each night of the week. It's spent with every play and the details of who we're asking to do it. Some plays on the sheet get underlined, which means that we're only going to run them one way, because the hash marks in the NFL are pretty centered. So we don't have to be able to run each play both ways. Sometimes quite a bit of the plays are underlined. We're just going to run it one way. So a lot of that goes on. And when obviously when we get a guy like Alvin back, then you try to divide up the snaps. And I don't know how many total snaps Tony had, but sometimes I knew Alvin would be in good shape, and because he's been training. He was close last week, like I said, and it was more of the hamstring, not the knee. And it was good to have him back.
Sean, when he's close, is that a tough decision at all, just deciding
It
10
is.
days
It is. It's tough when it's a soft tissue injury, because you know that if you're just too early, there's been too many times where all of a sudden, it's another setback of 3, 4, whatever. And so once you get to that spot, we try to really go by what, all the medical staff are saying. And if he can go, we play him. And if not, then we don't. And I think that's a good way to approach it. Sometimes, like Taysom's injury, it kind of is what it is. It's just a matter of, can you function, but it's not like, something that can be re-injured like a hamstring.
Did Taysom's finger hold up the way you wanted it to today?
In all except for 2 plays. I mean, I don't know what happened on that snap late in the game, and he recovered, and then the screenplay. But I think so. I thought he threw it pretty well, and he secured the ball. I mean, there's always a little bit of an adventure with him that we keep working on. But I think he just lost the grip on that screen, and it just came out the back of his hands. And that very well may have been finger driven, or it might have been just, it's dry up here in the winter and he needs some lotion.
So with his foot, is that like you have to see how it's feeling on the
His
day
what?
with Taysom's foot? You have to see how it's feeling.
You can ask him, but I
But
haven't thought about his foot this week,
Okay.
like at all. And I don't think it's on the injury report. So I thought about it a few weeks ago, though, but I didn't think about it much this week, in fairness to your question. He was moving around well, and yeah.
A lot of good aspects today on both sides. You guys have had a tough last month. What does this win do moving forward?
Just what I told him, it's a funny league. Just it keeps giving you a chance, and you just keep focusing. I know it sounds cliche with the 1 week at a time, but you really just turn your focus to the next game, and it's a bunch of teams that are clumped together and are fighting to make the postseason. And our focus will be really on ourselves improving and getting healthier and getting ready for what's going to be a real good Tampa Bay team that we play Sunday night.
You didn't hat today? Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. I didn't like the one that was in my locker. I thought it was too cold for the visor, and I'm a little superstitious, so I went with the no hat look.
Okay.
Is that a first?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. The sidelines got mixed up a little bit for me because when you play the Giants, you're on the other sideline. So coming out pregame, you begin walking over to your bench area, and about 20 strides in, I still hadn't recognized anyone. And then I saw Robert Saleh, and I realized, so I guess the Jets are on one side and the Giants are on the other. But it was kind of sunny. Thought we had good weather considering we're playing here in the middle of December. Sometimes when you look at the schedule, it could be a lot colder. It's a good day, some wind, and overall good.
You've rotated hat and visor this year, though. More
Yeah, it's been back and forth. You cut your hair real short like this, you just, either one.
Sean, a few years ago, y'all were going through some struggles, like 14 or 15. You were joking and saying something like, we have coaches sleeping in their offices and things like that, trying to figure this out.
No, I say this. The hours and the grind are the same every week. Some weeks they're longer maybe because of the team you're playing relative to their scheme. Some weeks. So we built a sleep room years ago, though, and I mean like a real nice sleep room. So, you're not having to just, you're getting a decent night's rest. Guy lives on the North Shore. You finish at 2 a.m, then, you figure it's 45 minutes home, 45 minutes in the morning. It's an hour and a half. You could be sleeping if you stayed, Wednesday night. So, I know it's used during the week, and I would say I don't think it changes. Yeah, you're working hard and on your plans, but I don't think those hours change relative to when you're winning or losing. I think it's result oriented and it's work driven. Like, are we finished? And some weeks it could be more complex, and really that's a third down thing. Some weeks it could be less complex based on the blitz packages, and it's kind of, I think, how it is.
I guess I was just wondering if, we ask players all the time, how are you getting to this losing streak? How does it feel? And I always wonder if it was different for coaches.
I think for
I guess they're the leaders.
I think it's, look, it's honestly, it's like awful, when you're working those type of hours and everything you have, and there's a lot that goes into, and the sacrifice, and so winning there's nothing like it, and then on the other side of it, and so, but it tests your grit, it tests your fortitude, all those things. You got to get back on the next week, and that's the importance when you're bringing in the right type of players in free agency, in the draft. Who can, they're all going to react well when you're winning, but how do they handle it when you hit some adversity, and in the same way with the coaches and everyone else.
What is the adjustment for you guys when Juwan gets treated maybe the opposite of what you're expecting?
We usually early in the game have a couple personnels just to get a base read on, do they see him as a receiver? Today we saw a lot of, they treated him more like a receiver than a tight end. We went through that with Taysom a few years ago. We even tried to introduce him as a receiver to hopefully get him treated, and then pretty soon he got treated as a tight end. Because it has a lot to do with what your game plan. And it's nice to know if you put a play in, you kind of know here are the looks we can get. But if you put that same play in, and let's say you're expecting base and you get nickel, well, none of what you were planning on applies to that particular. Some plays are user-friendly regardless. But anyway, so we try to get a feel early in the game as to what we're. And a lot of times we can predict it, but sometimes it's different. All right, thank you.